Hello there everybody, this is Orgho Sinha and we'll be discussing about how to configure IPsec tunnels over the internet when we have two cWAN devices. Moving on to our topology, we'll see that we have our client on the left and we have our server on the right. As you can see, we have a local IP address of 64 on the server and an LAN IP address of 66.1. As you can see, both the sites are connected with one broadband connection to the internet. So client has one broadband connection connecting it to the internet, and so does the server. The public static ID the server is using is this, and it's NATed to a local IP of this 5.3. We'll be configuring a tunnel through the internet. So we'll go right ahead and look into the IP table. As you can see, these are our IP addresses and this is what we'll be using to create the table today. So I'll just open up my Excel sheet with that. This way I can have a good grasp of what I'm configuring. And we'll go ahead and go to our sites. So as you can see, we have here our Tenet HQ, which is acting as DC or a server, and we have our Tenet Mumbai, which is acting as a client. So first we'll go ahead and go to Tenet HQ. We are on the interface right now. You can see that we have one WAN interface going on and one LAN interface going on. So we'll go ahead and go to tunnels, and in tunnels, just beside SSL VPN, you'll see IPsec. Clicking on IPsec will give you any tunnels if you have any, but we don't have any, so we'll go ahead and create one. So to create one, we can just go ahead and click on create tunnel, and it will already be filled up a little bit. So the PSK phase 1 and phase 2 is filled up in here. So we'll go ahead and name our tunnel first. This will be our IPsec tunnel. So we'll name it IPsec tunnel. And we are going to, we are at our server. So we're going to branch. So we'll type in to branch. And we'll generate a tunnel ID here. And we'll go ahead and copy it for the other side of the tunnel. So now here in our local IP, if we just go to the interface, just go ahead and quickly open the interface here. So this is our local IP. So we'll put in the local IP, and our remote IP here is 0000, as we are trying to communicate with any sites who are trying to make a tunnel, IPsec tunnel to this site. So we'll put it as 0000, and the gateway would be 5.1, as we only have one broadband. And in here, as you can see, it says allowed local subnet. So we have a local subnet here. We'll just go back to the interface, and as you can see, we have the IP of 64.1. So we'll go ahead and give that IP address here to allow that local subnet. That 64.0 will actually be giving the network IP address, and put in 24. We'll put in a comma, and we'll also need to give the tunnel IP address. So as you can see, it's on a 11.11.11 subnet. So we'll go ahead and configure that in here. 0/24 again. And looks like we are all done. Here we'll just choose in and certificate. So I've created the certificate earlier on, and turn on force UDP and encapsulation. Now that you can see, we have a lot of features here which IPsec gives. So we can choose from encryption mode, and we've got a bunch of these: Blowfish and AES. Then we have integrity algorithm like SHA or AES, MD5. And then we can choose one of the Diffie-Hellman groups from here. So once we have configured everything as per our satisfaction, we can go ahead and create it. Just make sure that whatever tunnel configuration you're configuring here should be the exact same there. At least these four should be the exact same there. And so with the I configuration, this all should be the same there, or this won't work. So we'll go ahead and press on create. So our server-side IPsec tunnel is up and running. We'll go ahead and add an IP address in here. We have allowed the 11.11.11.0 subnet. So we'll go ahead and put in the subnet and the IP address here, turn on TWAMP responder, and go for add. So as you can see, our tunnel is created, but it's not up and running. So we'll go ahead and go to Net Balancer and let it know where to go. So we'll do branch, configure the name, and then we'll put in the IP address as 66. As you can see, we have 66 on the other side. If we just go to the topology, we have 66 on the client side. So we'll go ahead and create 66 here. And in description, we'll put in IPsec tunnel. And then we'll switch the configuration status on and give it a gateway IP address of 11.11.11.2. As you can see here, we have an branch IP address of tunnel IP address. So we are at DC now. So the other side is 11.11.11.2. So once that is done, we'll give it a weight of 1 and choose the local interface as our IPsec tunnel that we created and hit add. Once this is created, we'll have to switch it on, and once it's switched on, we can go ahead and make it packet based from connection based, or we can keep it packet based. Doesn't really matter as we only have one interface, but we'll go ahead and do packet based anyway. So this site is pretty much configured. We'll go ahead and go to our Mumbai site, which is our client site. So in our client site, as you can see, we have two WAN WAN connections, and we'll go ahead and take the WAN 1 and copy this IP address. So as you can see, I have come into tunnel here and pressed on IPsec on our client side. So we'll go ahead and create this tunnel here. We'll name it IPsec tunnel to HQ. And in here, as you can remember, we have copied this tunnel ID which we generated on this side. So we don't want to change that. We want to have the same tunnel ID, or else it won't work. So I'll just go ahead and show you that this is the tunnel ID that we have ending with S9. And this is the tunnel ID we will put in the client side with S9. Here our local IP would be 0.217. So we'll go ahead and put 0.217. Our remote IP will be the static IP that we have on the other side. So we'll copy this from here and paste it here. Once that is done, we can move to gateway. In gateway, as we are using the 0.217 interface, so we'll go ahead and choose 0.1 as our gateway. And here in allowed subnet, we'll have to allow the subnets that we want to allow on this side. So we'll go for 192.168.0. I'm sorry, as in 66.0/24, comma the tunnel subnet. So that's 11.11.11.0/24. Once this is done, we can go ahead and change these, but as we already have configured the default there, we better not change this or it won't work. So we'll just leave them as default for now. If you want, you can go ahead and change it, but make sure to change the same on both sides. So we'll use a certificate that I have already created and turn on force UDP encapsulation and hit create. Once this is created, we'll go ahead and give it an IP address. The IP address would be 11.11.11.2 as 1 is our server. And here we'll put 24/24 as our gateway and hit TWAMP responder and hit add. Once that is added, the only thing now left to do is go to Net Balancer and give it a gateway for the tunnel. We'll name it as 2HQ and we'll put in a remote of 64, which is our LAN on the server side. So we'll put 64.0 network address with /24 and type in here IPsec to DC HQ actually, and turn on the configuration status as well as give our gateway, which is the other side of the tunnel here. So as you can see, this is the gateway as we are in our branch side now. So this is 1. So we'll put in 11.11.11.1 and interface will choose the tunnel we created and we'll give a weightage of 1 and hit add. So once that is done, we can switch it on and wait a little bit. Once it's switched on, we can go ahead and change it to packet based and press apply. Now as you can see, this tunnel is up and running, and if we go to the other side, we'll be able to see that it has also gone up, the tunnel in our server side. To check, we can go ahead and go to utilities, and switching our check and trace path, we can just ping our subnet on our DC side, as in on our client side, as we are on the server right now. So the client side has an IP address of 192.164.66.1. So we'll run checks, and as you can see, we are getting a ping. And if we go ahead to the other side in Mumbai, actually we'll go ahead and check the tunnel IP address of that end, as in the Mumbai end of the tunnel IP, which is 11.11.2. And as you can see, it's getting a ping and it's working. If we go on the other side and do the same thing here, just with a different IP address of our client, which is 66.1. And so we are on the client, we'll be using 64.1, my bad, as this is our LAN IP address. So we'll go ahead and run check now. And as you can go, we are good to go. We have connectivity. And if we check our tunnel IP address, which is 11.11.1, we'll run check. And there it is. We are connected now. So that's all for today. This was about VPN. This was about IPsec Tunnel on our cWAN device. Thank you.